Hey, Sam, guess what?
What?
Luke Hughes is a huge Caniac.
Yes, he is. I can tell you that New Jersey game. Oh, that was funny with Luke Hughes helping out on 2 of those goals there.
Yeah, for his young career, he's adding to his multi-point night. So good for him. He has a bright future.
He definitely does. And hey, to be honest, the Hurricanes kind of deserve a little bit of a break there, considering all the goals that were scoring off of our defensemen's skates.
Oh yeah, all the goals going off the skates, leading the league in hitting the post.
Yep,
We got to see that even tonight with Martin Hook having a wide open net and
exactly.
still ringing it just plumb with the post. So about time they got a little bit of puck luck.
Definitely. Well, as usual, we have a great partnership with SeatGeek. You get $20 off your first purchase if you use promo code Caniac Reports, all one word. It's a great deal if you're trying to save money on some tickets, whether that's to hockey game, comedy show, or concert, whatever. And remember, if you are listening to us wherever you get your podcasts, please leave a good rating and a review. It really does help us out. And also, please give us a follow. And also, if you're watching us on YouTube, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you never miss another episode. And also, for those of you who are watching on YouTube, I just want to say thank you so much. We hit 100 subscribers yesterday, Andrew. So that's pretty good right there.
Triple digits. I will be putting in my 2 weeks at work tomorrow.
I wouldn't do that, but I'm happy that we have that many people subscribe to our channel. So thank you guys for really just putting in the hours of listening and watching us. We really do appreciate it. So, Andrew, let's talk about a couple things that happened. One of them, Austin Matthews, he hit a franchise record for the Maple Leafs. That comes as no surprise at all, just because he's one of the most gifted goal scorers in the NHL. But he passed Matt Sundin with 421 goals. What's your reaction to that?
Just congrats, for how old and revered that organization is. All the modern jokes aside about the Cups, it's the Maple Leafs. It is the most recognizable brand in hockey. I'm sure there's people in Montreal who would want to argue, and it's a valid argument, but no, it's the Leafs. So for him to really hold that record by himself, and for him to be, a kid from the Southwestern United States, that's a huge deal, man.
It really is. And I mean, Toronto, I mean, that town is basically the Keene of hockey, so to say, Andrew, just because, I mean, you look at all the other hockey markets, not only their original 6, but you can tell they are the most popular franchise out there.
Yeah, no, they're definitely one of the few hockey teams that has sort of that, people will just wear Maple Leaf stuff because it's recognizable. Yep. So again, kudos to him. I hope whenever he gets out of Toronto, which I do think is eventually going to happen, that he's able to get some playoff success.
I do too. I think at some point he is going to leave, and who knows? We might see like other guys like Nylander leave too. Maybe John Tavares, I could see him retiring as a Leaf, but I could see Nylander leaving too.
Yeah, well, hopefully, in a few months, we're adding a gold medal to Matthews' resume.
Yeah, definitely. Another thing too, Andrew, this happened actually tonight, but Alex Winberg, he got extended by the San Jose Sharks to a 3-year, $6 million contract. I think that's a very good contract for a guy who's doing really good with a team that has really been, I would say, a little bit overachieving this year, Andrew, because San Jose, they're doing great.
Yeah, the future is teal, huh? I don't think if they had this first half of the season that they did, that he's signing that contract. I was a little bit surprised that he went to San Jose to begin with, just where they're at. And Wenberg's a player I've kind of had on my radar as, maybe he
Same here.
Yeah, for the Canes. That's obviously out the window unless this is, a precursor to them moving him. But just given that the young talent that team has, why wouldn't you want to stick around? Because even if it's not this year, even if it all just totally falls apart, 2 or 3 seasons, man, the Sharks I think are setting themselves up to be bona fide contenders for a long time. Like it's their path there is so obvious.
Oh, it really is. So yeah, Winberg, he's kind of off the market there with that extension. But Andrew, I'm kind of glad you kind of like tied that with the Hurricanes as a possible target because, I mean, you look at our center core, like I mean, obviously, like we did win against New Jersey, but like I mean, I would say the two big things, and we'll delve more into detail of the winning side of it. I would argue the two big things that we won was the penalty kill and Luke Hughes. That I mean, I didn't think tonight was like the bona fide Carolina Hurricanes that we've seen.
No, not at all. If anything, I think quite a few of the games we've seen recently, aside from the third period collapse, they were actually significantly better than they were tonight. But Hall showed why. Even though he doesn't wear a letter, I do think just because of his experience and his resume, he is a leader on this team, and he showed it. By that hustle just to make Hughes mess up. Like a lot of guys, they'll skate to be in that position, but you don't always see it to the end to create those kind of opportunities. So. Yeah, Luke Hughes, Taylor Hall, Bussy. I was very happy with his bounce back after his first bad game. So you can't read too much into one game and say that takes away all of the blemishes from the past. But
yeah,
let's just say it's going to make us all in a better mood for this podcast. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, because I can tell you after that Colorado. Well, I mean, again, we'll talk about it more in detail, but. With you connecting Winberg to the Hurricanes, like you and I both know, Canes need that second line center. They really, really do. I even looked today earlier, Andrew, of just comparing our center core with all the other center cores of all the other teams, and we are only one of. Now I'm subtracting Stankoven for the record from the center core. Just I know he's played center for quite some time. It's just I don't think he naturally fits there. That's why I subtracted him from it. But if our center core basically Aho, Stahl, Jankowski, and KK, you compare that to all the other center cores, we are only one of 7 teams in the league that have 2 centers with less than 10 points. That's not only not good, that's bad.
Yeah, that's yikes level. It's by far the biggest hole in this team. I think there's a chance Freddie can figure it out, and the goaltending is maybe not as bad as we think it is. Guys like Keandre Miller have been starting to figure it out these last few games. So it's just that second line, because if you can get the top 6 rolling again, which I mean, Stankoven and Blake were really good to start the season. They were one of the things that kept them afloat to begin with, but. Lately, I think it's just that being such a young and kind of smaller line. I think once teams kind of got the book on them, they were able to stop it. Still, both guys with tremendous potential. I'm glad they're with us for a long period of time, but I just don't think that line's going to work. And even if you circle back to Stankoven being centered down the road, again, 22 years old, but as of right here, right now, it is not working. And I think if anything, it's just hurting his confidence.
Yeah, and like even if he was like, let's say if he's a third line center, I'd argue he's better on the wing. It's just I just don't think he's meant to be in that role at all. That's just me.
Yeah, it could be. I think he definitely has the tenacity to play the position, but
he does.
When you compare what he was able to do in the playoffs versus this whole season, even when that line was producing, you have to play so much more. Reserve's not the right word. More responsible when you're at center, and when you're a smaller guy whose whole thing is you're just basically a little miniature bulldozer out there, then you're gonna sacrifice that to play more responsible. So I think maybe just the added responsibility of center is just taking him off his game.
Yeah, I would agree with that too, and also another thing too, like with KK, obviously he's been a huge disappointment, Andrew. but he's projected to hit the lowest point totals ever since his sophomore year, and that was with Montreal. So
Mm.
it's really just falling off the cliff for KK.
Yeah, and the discourse around him the last couple of days on X and stuff like that has been kind of fascinating because
David Pagnotta tweet apparently talked about him, saying that he's on the market.
right. I think they said that he's been basically being dangled out there, so they're just listening to whoever wants him. I kind of get the impression that Rod's just kind of done with him. And
I would be too.
yeah, and that's why I was kind of surprised, and I'm as someone who has maybe gone to bat for Kotkaniemi on this podcast more times than maybe not that I should have, but like I can see the potential in the player, but this kind of oh, Rod hates this player, all this other kind of nonsense. Like, no, I don't think it's a personal thing. From everything I've seen about Kotkaniemi, he seems like a really nice guy, but when you have a guy like Trocheck and management decides we're not going to keep that guy, we're going to bring in this new guy to kind of stroke our owner's ego about, you're not going to offer sheet me, I offer sheet you type of stuff. Fast forward a few years of it being the biggest consistent gaping hole in our lineup. And yeah, I bet he's sick of it.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I mean, you got to think of the future too. Like Jordan Stahl, he's great and all, but he's 36, 37 years old. Eventually, the guy's going to retire. So that's just going to make your center core even worse in the future because he's going to retire soon. So you really need a center. But I mean, since we already talked about KK, he did sit out because Noah Phillip played his first game tonight against New Jersey. Andrew, I thought he was okay. It's not like he was brilliant. It's not like he was bad. I thought it was just fine tonight.
Yeah, first game on a new team. I thought he had a couple of moments on the penalty kill that I liked. That being said, I if they didn't make a point of pointing out when he's on the ice because he is new, I probably don't notice him for pretty much the entire game. Which again, for the position that he's in, it's not the worst thing.
Exactly. And we do have some good news, though, in terms of the Olympics that's coming up, Andrew. And I'm sure you guys listening to this probably know that we're going to be talking about this. But Jacob Slavin, he officially made Team USA. And Andrew, I am so glad that he made it. And, I mean, it shows that he is definitely going to be healthy by the Olympics. I think the real question is, when is he going to be healthy between now and the Olympics?
Yeah, I mean, I think even if his health was a question mark, they might still put him on the team and then make an adjustment last second. So, I mean, hopefully that is true and that he's on a good enough trajectory that they're comfortable enough penciling him in there. But if he is healthy, then I'm really excited to watch that Jacob Slavin Brock Faber pair again. Assuming that's what they do again, because that was awesome at the Four Nations. And yeah, that's a D pair that you could win gold with.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, with Slavin, listen, I am very happy he made Team USA, but do you ever wonder, and again, I'm not saying that they are, do you ever wonder, like at some point, because he's only played 5 games, especially with him being locked for the Olympics now, do you think the team, I know there are fans probably thinking of this already, do you think the team might be protecting him from Olympics/playoffs?
Maybe. I think if it's something that's important to him, that he's earned that. I think it's got to be tough from an owner's perspective. Removing what is going to be directly beneficial to you short term in terms of your bottom line versus what's going to grow and expand the product, which will then over time relate to that. And that's what the Olympics are. It's going to grow your game. I had friends of mine who never really cared about hockey. They watched the Four Nations and now they've gotten into it a little bit, and the Olympics are going to have that same effect. But as far as protecting Slavin goes, I think Probably, yeah. These games right now, as much as we're going to dig into the minor details of it and what it means moving forward, as long as they are where they are in the standings, these games, it's not that they don't matter, but they don't matter enough to risk Slavin not being there for either you in the playoffs or just kind of for the legacy of this team having a gold medal defenseman be on a top pair. That's a big deal.
Yeah, and my feelings around this team and Slavin, I think, are a little bit entangled, to be honest, just because, especially last night's game. Like, okay, we won against New Jersey, so yeah, I am going to be probably just a little bit calmer. But at the same time, like, let's look at the Colorado game. That's a game where you miss Jacob Slavin,
Oh, yeah.
and that's when you start to wonder, be like, okay, are they just protecting him for the playoffs and the Olympics? But like and here's the thing: he's very important for both. I understand it, but you also need to play him too. So I will be probably a little bit frustrated if he doesn't get any game action between now and the Olympics, because like even though we did win tonight, like we are barely hanging on to that first place title in our division. It's just like, you know.
Yeah, no, you keep waiting for the teams you expect to be kind of in that middle tier to fall off, and aside from Pittsburgh, none of them have. If anything, teams like Buffalo have all of a sudden decided to be world beaters, and now they're on a tear. So it's definitely tight to a point where I see what you're saying about how if, like, say the first time we see him on the ice is over in Italy for the Olympics. I don't see how, as a fan, you're not concerned about that, but just I don't see that happening, because if you're the coach of the USA team, even with how good Slavin is, like, do you want to put somebody rusty into that environment?
That's a good point. That really is. So I do think he'll get game action, but again, the question is when, not if, between now and the Olympics. But another player too I want to talk about, Jarvis. He is still out. Him and Slavin are the only players that are still out. But I do think he's getting closer than probably Jacob Slavin, just because Andrew, he has been wearing a yellow no contact jersey the past couple practices. It's just hard to jot down when he's coming back,
For sure. And he's one of those guys where, and this isn't to say that Slavin probably doesn't have a little bit of this in him too, but just because of Jarvis's personality, this radiates out of him. He's a guy you need to protect from himself, maybe more than anything else. So you like seeing him back at practice and stuff, but unless he physically can't stand, I'd be kind of surprised if he wasn't just showing up anyway. He just crosses me as that kind of guy.
Yeah,
which you love having those guys as teammates, but hopefully sooner than later. But with how that top line has been clicking, man, Jarvis is now kind of in that, hey, don't rush it. I'd rather you be ready.
Yeah. Well, I would agree with you, but when he's ready, it kind of makes you wonder with how good that line's going. Do you still play him with Aho and Svetch? Do you put him somehow on a second line? It's just one of those things where I think ultimately he plays with he's back with Aho, but it does make you wonder with how good that first line is doing with Aho, Ehlers, and Svetch. Where Jarvis's placement might be. Again, we say might.
Yeah, and luckily, that being something that's not obvious means that Rods has options, and especially if they can solve the issue at 2C. If Ehlers and Svetch are working with Aho, and then you could have maybe Jarvis and Blake really cooking with whoever they can bring in, then boom, you got two lines. But just knowing that Jarvis and Aho do have that chemistry kind of established, and now that Svetch seems to be coming along in that regard with Aho as well. Maybe if they're still clicking at this rate, you don't break up that line the second Jarvis can come back. But I'm with you. I'd be surprised if push comes to shove, that when the playoffs start, if everyone's healthy, that top line isn't Jarvis, Aho, Svetch.
Yep. So that's pretty much it for us talking about news relating to the Hurricanes and around the league. So, Andrew, let's go ahead and get to a sponsor. Then we'll recap both the Colorado and the New Jersey game. Every yard, every sack, every interception, and every touchdown. With Pick 6, DraftKings' newest game, every snap can turn into a big time payout. This isn't just watching the game, this is playing to win. Here's how it works: pick more or less on 2 or more player stats. The better your picks, the bigger your payout. It's that simple. And here's the kickoff bonus: new DraftKings customers get $50 in Pick 6 credits with just a $5 entry on your first pick set. You know the game. Now make it pay. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN. Play just $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Make the call, ride the upside. In partnership with DraftKings Pick 6, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. Limited time offer. All right, Andrew, the Colorado game. I expected entering in this game, Andrew. I did not expect it to be the way. This might sound silly. I did not expect it to be the way it actually ended. Because, I mean, you and I both know Carolina's been struggling, and you and I both know how good Colorado can be. I was expecting probably a little bit of a blowout, honestly, with Colorado beating us. What were your expectations?
I was definitely prepared for it. I'll go full disclosure on this one. I had money on Nate just getting two points, and of course he didn't. The one time I actually put money on the other team, but that I haven't left a game that frustrated in a long time than that Colorado game, because Freddie really needed that win. Freddie played good enough to get that win against that team. And if he pulls that off against Colorado, who knows what that could do as like a snowball effect moving forward. But instead, the team played incredibly soft on him. I thought Nikishin actually had a handful of moments where you can kind of see why Rod is maybe a little bit harder on him. You know, we see we see the shot and the hits, but I think people are kind of taking for granted all the times that it's been him and a forward right in front of the net, and he's just kind of standing there, and he's way too tough of a kid to be doing that.
Yep, I completely agree. But like, I mean, in the first 40 minutes, Aho, I mean, I thought Carolina, and I'm sure you would agree, they played good. They played competitive. Did I think that they're better than Colorado? Probably not. I thought it was pretty even for between both, but Carolina played good. And again, that first line just played excellent. Like that breakaway goal that Aho made. Like, I mean, you and I both know his go-to move is 5-hole, and it actually works that time.
Yeah, and I almost kind of hate that it did work, because now he's going to keep doing it. Not that he's going to switch anyway. It's the most predictable thing about this team, that Aho on a breakaway is going 5-hole. I've seen him break away from it a few times, and it's like, you know, I feel like whenever he breaks away from that, he actually scores. So
yeah,
bit of a creature of habit. But again, we've talked about this with Aho. I feel like he's more of a facilitator if he can plan on it. He just happens to have a good shot that if he can kind of instinctually fire it, I feel like that's when he's better off.
Yeah, and I think another thing too with Aho, like we know he's playing at that level that we expect him to play at. So when you come in on a breakaway, knowing that your confidence is very, very up because you're playing at another level, you probably are going to score. So it's just a matter of, can he stay on that level on a consistent basis, you know, because he's on it right now.
Yep, and it doesn't hurt that his two wingers are too. So, you know, those three can keep building off of what they've been doing, get more and more chemistry going. They've looked great together on the power play, which has been kind of underreported. I think the power play has been on fire.
It has.
In the most un-Rod Brind'Amour Hurricanes thing to ever happen, our penalty kill until tonight is actually a concern, and the power play is clicking. Not really sure what to do with that information. It feels all wrong.
It does. It really does feel a lot wrong. But in the second period, obviously, you do have Landeskog scoring for Colorado, even though he did get hurt today, and it sounds like he might miss some time quite a bit.
Yeah, I
But
hate for him.
yeah, I do too. But I mean that goal that Landeskog scored, like, I mean, honestly, like, to me, that's not a bad goal just because we know he's such a great player, and it was basically a power move. He basically outmuscled Stahl, which honestly a little bit surprised me,
Hmm.
just a little bit. But I mean, I don't blame Don Anderson. I don't.
No, it was a great example of a goal that I would definitely call savable. Like I wouldn't
It
go so far as
was.
to say Freddie had no chance, but I mean, sometimes you just gotta tip the cap and say, "Wow, that was a great play." Which I mean, Landeskog is the captain for a reason, and I hate that he was hurt today because his comeback to the NHL was very inspiring. So hopefully he gets well soon.
Yep, completely agree. But we did score two more goals in that second period. You had Ehlers scoring from Holland Stankoven. And Andrew, I remember the sequence leading up to that goal because I can't remember which Colorado player it was, but their stick was broken. And during that whole time on the power play too, I was like, okay, do a one timer. He's obviously in the position right there up top. Do a one timer, and they weren't doing it. And obviously, you had the passing between what Stankoven and Ehlers finally shoots it. It was like, thank God, you know.
Mhm. Yeah, Ehlers' shot's been dangerous on the power play lately. He's another guy, reputation as a facilitator, but now that he's got this increased role in Carolina, maybe he'll embrace that role.
Yep, definitely. And the assist goes from Taylor Hall and Stankoven. It's nice to see Stankoven getting on the board here in both of these games.
Hmm.
And then to me, I thought was the prettiest goal of the game. I mean, Svechnikov scoring from Aho. And what I just loved about that goal, Andrew, like Aho passes it to Svech. That in and of itself is a great pass. But Svech doing such a good, great power move that we know he has. He does it and gets it behind Wedgwood and scores. What a beautiful goal that was. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it was a skill play that he made without sacrificing what we need from him as that power forward type of guy, which is something I think
Hmm.
about him. We've always wanted to kind of see finally click of, blending that, yes, you do have the skills to do all these crazy deeks and moves and stuff. But at the end of the day, you're a mutant out of Russia who can bury people and should have a better slap shot. So now that those two worlds are starting to collide with him, hopefully he can keep building on it. Because you're right, that was a beautiful goal. Not just the speed it took to do it, but the strength to get
Yep.
around his man like that.
Yeah, just beautiful. And then that meant Carolina had a lead heading into the third period, Andrew. And we know what that means.
Nothing good can come of that, unfortunately, lately.
Yeah. So you have Brock Nelson scoring on the power play for Colorado. And granted, I mean, we're touched on a penalty kill. It was not good that game.
No.
And I think what irked me about that power play goal for Colorado was the fact that Carolina had a few chances to take it out of their own zone. Like moments before Nelson scored, the puck was on Jordan Stahl's stick and he didn't get it out. So it's just like you gotta get these use these opportunities as if they are very rare. It's just you can't keep in your own zone against a powerful team like Colorado. You know.
Yeah, no, them failing on these clearing attempts or these breakout attempts, I think has been the biggest Achilles heel of this team, just in general.
It has.
Because you've had goalies play great and then they'll do a blind pass into their own slot or they're sloppy near the center ice position, and then these high-end players get a breakaway on your goalie who has been trying to find his confidence, either because it's Freddie who is just trying to find it, Kachekov who was hurt, or Bussy who didn't even think he was going to be here, and you keep putting them in these positions. So I think it's just a structural thing. I hope that as guys get healthier, they start to figure it out. That being said, the wiggle room the front office has to make a move, if nothing else, to kind of shake these guys loose. Because, something that stood out for me in that game was it was the first time I've seen Rod like kind of throw his hands up. Like,
Yep.
we've seen him look angry, confused. That was the first time I think I've seen him look at this team and being like, what the hell am I watching?
Yeah, I was about to bring that up, actually. I'm happy you brought that up because it was the third goal that really got Brendan Moore lit up because it was Jack Drury. And also, kind of forgot to mention this. Great ceremony for the players that came back. Brent Burns, Jack Drury, Martin H's. Loved every bit of it. I stood up for all three such great players for this organization.
Yep, it was good to see them. Glad they're having success over there in Colorado. I'd be lying because, Natchez was a high-end guy, so he was going to wind up somewhere and be fine.
He was.
Burns, I understand him wanting to go someplace where his role wasn't going to be diminished, but Drury kind of felt like the guy who got caught up in it all. So there was something about his goal that I have to admit did make me for as mad as I was, I couldn't help but smile a bit for him because that one had to feel good for him, and he seems like a real class act.
Yeah, but I mean, kind of like what you said, it's these turnovers, these giveaways, and that Drury goal really started with Nystrom, who honestly I have not liked Nystrom's game. I thought he played better tonight against New Jersey, but I think the past couple games, Nystrom has been struggling. But he gives it up there on our blue line, and that's kind of what started the whole sequence. And not only that, you had both Nikishin and KK just standing there doing nothing with Drury. And while Anderson probably, I would say out of all those goals that game, that's probably the most savable goal. But again, it's not a bad goal like we saw against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I agree. You'd like to see Freddie get that, but just because of the circumstances leading up to it, you can't just pin it on him directly.
Yeah. So I mean, Anderson, I thought he played good, but it's just, man, our defense it's not been good, and that's why I kind of brought up Jacob Slavin. When's he's going to come back? Because it will make this team better defensively.
Oh, for sure, and even tonight against New Jersey, even just having Ghost back was a huge difference.
Yes.
Nystrom seems like he's still playing well. I mean, he's been putting up points, and I think there's a lot to be excited about him being part of this organization for an extended period of time, but he seems to be kind of coming back down to earth a little bit, which that's to be expected. He's a 7th round pick who was supposed to be in the league this year, so still incredibly impressive what he's done. But Slavin coming back is huge. Again, you can't rush it as much as you want him, but I think that this whole experience has really put into perspective just how important he is, because sometimes his game is kind of quiet until you go back and really appreciate all the little poke checks that he does.
Yep, exactly. And then you have, Nelson, he scores his second of the game, and that was the breakdown right there in front of Anderson. So it's just man, defense was just not doing good in Colorado. They come away with a win. Honestly, Andrew, I probably would have felt better with this game if it was more of, okay, we score one, then Colorado scores one, but it hurts a lot more when you have that lead once again heading into the third period and then you blew it.
Right. Because what more troubling trend is there than, you go into a third period with a multiple goal league and you're nervous about it. That shouldn't be happening. In today's NHL, any team could come back. We've actually kind of, I think, I've gotten used to the Canes being on the other side of it.
Yeah.
A lot, coming back from 3, even 4 goals down in the third period. But for it to be something happening this consistently, and for a team that, you can question the talent, you can question the moves. I've never questioned the work, and there's been a few moments in these past few games where I've questioned that. And
I have too.
And I do still put that on the players more than I do the coaching staff, because if there's one thing I am confident about Rod Brind'Amour is that he's doing what it's taking to get these guys in position to work hard. Can you critique other things about it? Yes, but that's not one of them. So I'm, again, the win tonight against New Jersey takes the sting off a little bit, but still, I see this last week and a half as a big, a lot of guys got to do some soul searching or else get comfortable with the fact that at the trade deadline, they might be like, hey, we wanted you to be part of this team, but if you're not going to commit to doing it this way.
Yeah. And I mean, I think also part of it too, like I agree most of it's on the players, but I think part of it too is like on, again, it's a small part, but I think on management too, and the fact that that's like, I mean, you've been ignoring the second line center position for so long. You got to get someone. I'm not saying that it needs to be a second line center. You just need someone that's better than the likes of Jankowski and KK. Because, Andrew, we're not going to win a cup with Jankowski as our second line center. We're just not.
No, and I think it was worthwhile to do the Stankoven experiment. Maybe you can even circle back to it, but as it stands, Jankowski, Kotkaniemi when he's on, and even Stankoven now, I think if they really wanted to keep him at center, he could play on the fourth line, and then that line actually might be pretty dangerous. But
yeah, it could.
You've got 3 fourth line centers, and Stahl's kind of on the cusp right now. Like he has those games where it's like, okay, cool, he's still like a bona fide lockdown third line center, but at his age, if you can have him playing on the fourth line and then just elevate it whenever you have like a lead and you want to shut it down, that would be better off. So I think it's by far and away the biggest need this team still has to do, but I don't know.
And goaltending, they need to get another goalie.
They do, but I think they could afford to get a third goalie and hope. Yeah, not that hope is a plan, but I do think that there are crazier things to hope for than Freddie Andersen figuring it out. And even with the result against Colorado, I think that game to me was the first game in a while where it's like, okay, that looks like Freddie. Because they collapsed in front of him. They really did. And hopefully he's able to take that game for what it is and keep growing, because it would be really unfortunate if all that mojo, you could tell he was starting to get in that game, went away.
Yeah, I liked Andersen. It's just that one. It's just you can't justify that one game for how many games that he's played so badly. So it's just
correct.
You can only hope.
Correct. It's the first reason to have hope, and it's nice that it's happening during this kind of short run that they have of, okay, we can try to let this work out for a little bit longer, but then we do have to make a move. And it's going to be a move that might come at the expense of being able to get a high-end second-line center, unfortunately. So,
and it's and I can guarantee it's going to cost a lot more getting a second-line center than probably a third-string goalie. Because let's say if Andersen does play well, then that third goalie doesn't have to play up to the level as like what Bussey or Andersen,
Yeah, right, exactly. So. There's a handful of guys I'm looking at around the league who might be able to fill the role at 2C. We'll talk about that more once we get a little bit closer, because the issue now is that, especially in the East, it's so tight that a team that in a couple of weeks, once, that natural separation starts to occur a little bit, then they might be more willing to trade. But right now there's guys who are probably going to be available at the deadline who, as far as their teams are concerned, here today, like aren't even available. So that puts them in a tough spot too. So that's probably partially a reason why you haven't seen them do anything yet. Because I don't think I highly doubt Rod is going into that front office and being like, nah, Logan's doing great.
Yeah, I agree with that. But there is one team I have in mind that we could be a good trading partner with, and they're at the bottom of the East, and that's Columbus. Because I feel like they have good centers that we could use. But we'll see.
Imagine if we can manage to convince them to move on from a Fantilli.
Oh no, I wasn't imagining. That's a dream. I'm thinking of like maybe a Boone Jenner or Charlie Coyle. Charlie Coyle, man, he's been playing fantastic, and he's a big center too. So
yeah, I really like the idea of Boone Jenner, but I'm such a big Fantilli fan that I would legit be like, here's the next 2 drafts and pick any prospect.
Exactly, because we have the assets. Which raises my concern. Like, what's their future of Bradley Nadeau? Because if they don't have any future with him, Like, just trade him, you know?
I mean, he would be a good trade chip.
He would.
The last game he played up, I was impressed with what seems like has been him being able to round out his game a little bit. And I don't think it's beneficial for them to put him in a bottom six role with how this team plays. So I think that's probably part of it. They're just waiting for the actual opportunity for him to come up and play in a role that fits what he's doing. But would I package Nadeau in a first for a high end, borderline first center to play at the 2C for this team? Yeah, in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah, I would too. But yeah, so let's get to the New Jersey game. We know this. There's not much to talk about in comparison to the Colorado game with this one.
Mhm.
But first period, Ehlers. Obviously, he gets credit for the goal, but thank you, Luke Hughes. Thank you for tipping it into your own nets.
Yep. And that would be the only time that he would have a point against his own team tonight.
Exactly. And now, obviously, Dawson, hold up here. I got to bring up the game here. Dawson Mercer, he does score there, but honestly, I don't blame that on Bussy. I think that was just kind of what we've been talking about. That was just, to me, a team breakdown right there in front of him.
Yeah, definitely. Which overall, I liked their performance a lot better tonight in their own end, but still, that was kind of a goal where I think if you had been paying attention, I feel like you couldn't help but kind of be like, all right, well, here we go again. Just given the nature of the goal, it's been very prototypical of what's led to their collapses lately.
Yeah, and also, like, I think another thing too with like the New Jersey game, like we already saw Brendan Moore yell at these players in the Colorado game. You could argue they played like they didn't want to be yelled at, you know?
Yeah, even with grown men, sometimes that's what it takes. Just not wanting to piss off dad. I mean, it still works on me. So
yeah, trust me, it works on me too. But and the thing is, my dad listens to every episode, so he's probably going to laugh to that. But obviously, in the second period, you have Luke Hughes once again. He just goes right by Jake Allen, right there in the blue paint, and Taylor Hall's like, boop, just puts it in there. And ever since then, Luke Hughes got booed whenever he touched the puck.
Oh yeah, which I mean, he's got such a bright future. I hate that he's on the Devils, but what a play by Hall, man! Just the hustle to get there, the hockey IQ, just to not even really have to do a whole lot. Just put the stick in the right spot and just let physics do the work for you. Yeah, big leadership night for Hall in what was, I don't want to call it a boring game, but even compared to like the games of the collapses, like it was kind of a low event game. It felt like
it was.
So, if you can win games like that where hard work meets opportunity, and they call it luck, and that's how you win, then just given how the season's gone, I'll take it.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm glad you mentioned Taylor Hall, because I think of, like, even with the first line, I didn't think this was their best game.
No.
But to me, the players that I was impressed with the most was, like what you said, Taylor Hall. I liked his game. I liked K'Andre Miller's game. I thought he's putting up 2 games where he's looked pretty good. I hope this gets sustained here, obviously. And then obviously, I think the biggest conversation point about this New Jersey game is how does Brandon Bussy react to the poor performance that he had in his last game, and he played exceptionally well.
Yeah, absolutely locked it down. I think he responded well from the Mercer goal, which again, just given the way it happened, I think it could be easy for the goalies to assume that this is going to be another tough night. But we were talking about that for a couple of weeks now about how I want to see, not that you ever want to see your team lose, but I want to see Bussy have a bad game and see how he responds. And to respond like that on the road, divisional opponent with just a lot of offensive firepower, just a really encouraging sign that maybe this isn't a fluke.
Yeah, I completely agree, but I, I like again, kind of like with Anderson. I think with how Bussy played, it gives you hope. It's stronger hope than I would say the hope you have with Anderson in the Colorado game, just because like the biggest thing that is against Bussy is he doesn't have any NHL history. So it's
Right.
just like it's great that he had a great bounce back game. It's just can he continue that too? I think is the next question.
Right, and it's worth reminding ourselves sometimes, I think, because that whole it's an incredible story. Being in the being in the AHL that long. A lot of guys might have given up or whatever.
Hmm.
He was in Boston's system, and we know better than most teams how just they've had consistently good goaltending. So for a young guy not being able to crack that roster doesn't always mean that he's not a good player. It's just kind of a tough team to get picked by. You got Rask going into Swayman, Olmark's there. I think the Canes might have fallen backwards into kind of a franchise saving goalie, but still a little bit too early to tell for
It
that
is.
one. But this was I think tonight gives me more hope about the longevity of this more than any of those 10 straight wins do. As crazy as that might sound, this was the first real mental test that he had, I feel like.
Oh, I completely agree, and he really responded well. And obviously, you have Stankoven scoring Andrew, great goal right there. But even then, like I mean, we're so accustomed to these third period breakdowns. Just like even after that goal, I was like, yeah, but the Canes can still lose it.
For sure, but them actually getting that separation in the third period for a change did
Hmm.
feel different.
It
But
did.
yeah, that whole third period, they've kind of gotten us to this point where you're waiting for that goal to go in, where you just go,
Hmm.
oh, here it comes, and then 30 seconds later, here it comes. But uh,
Especially when Jared Marduk missed on that empty net. I was like, oh no.
yeah, yeah. But all things considered, man, good win, good bounce back.
Still need to play better.
Still need to play better. They've got time. I guarantee there's a move coming. How big it is, I don't know, but I guarantee they're going to do something.
Oh, I
And
think they have to. But we
I
played
think,
Dallas Tuesday.
yeah, that'll be another good test. But yeah, I think as far as us fans are concerned, I think there's a pretty big need, not just for being quote unquote good fans, but for a few of y'all for your health. Let's take a breath. The sky is not falling. It's a bad run. We know this team is better than what we've seen.
Yep, they definitely are. And since the Tuesday game's at home, I expect us fans to boo one player that all of us fans know.
Rope hence.
Nope. Mikko Rantanen.
Yep. Nope. Let him hear it. Let him
Yep.
hear it. I think we give it to him this game, and then I think we move on as a fan base. But for this first game that he's back, yeah, no,
Yeah, give it to him.
yep, let him hear it.
Exactly. Well, we will see you guys Friday.